That is
You would hope. You would hope I do.
that's today. So Rob is the co-founder and the CEO for the White Rabbit Intel. Helen is the business partnership director. All right, she always look very friendly and warm, and we love to have you on board today. And Tony Zhu,
Thank you.
you are the
Hi,
marketing manager.
I'm the VP. I'm the VP of Sales and Branding, Vice President of Sales and Branding.
Yeah, but we have two Tony. One is Tony Go from the other Tony that I'm introducing now from White Rabbit is actually Tony Zhu. He's actually the marketing and sales manager or director. From Asia, we have the privilege to have. Oh, sorry, we have also Ted Landgraf. A lot of you know Ted. He is the president or the CEO of the founder. Yes, the standard group. He has presented to the brand laureate group before. Welcome you. I'm not sure whether I'm sure he will join in a minute. For the Asia side, we have got Biping. What you can do is maybe you can just wave your hand so that people know how I'm addressing. Yeah. Okay, so Biping is actually the lady behind the brand laureate. She is the global president. And she's really a lady to reckon with. She actually brought the brand laureate from scratch to now, right from zero to hero. She's the backbone of the whole operations of the brand laureate. We're very privileged to have her today. Very proud that she is part of the team today here. We have got many people from the brand laureate Asia. Paul Chan, you have disappeared. If you could just put yourself on screen. We would like people to say hello to you as well. So Paul Chan is from Vietnam. He's the brand laureate president for Vietnam. So Paul, are you with us or you probably taking a break? Okay. We have also Shen Zhen. He's also the consultant working with the brand laureate as well. And he's also an affiliate associate with us in promoting the asset product in Asia. We also have Dorian from Korea. Dorian speaks multiple language. Of course, Korean is one of his strongest. Dorian, thank you for taking time to be with us as well from South Korea. Mario hasn't joined. Mario is from Indonesia, so he's probably be joining in soon. Kevin is from Singapore. Kevin Wong. How are you, Kevin? Yes.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Welcome, Kevin. And your partner, Simon, probably will join in soon, I suppose. Yes, from the Australian, Tony Go has actually introduced himself just now. He's the general manager, brand laureate. And for Australia part, I'm very happy to introduce you to Peter Christosis. He is the CEO for the ASAP, Australian Strategic Alliance Panel. Kieran Wallace, French from Australia, and he manages the operations side. All right, and very happy to have both of you. And my friend Liz Owen, she is supposed to be a brand laureate awardee last year, right? So I put on hold here. But she has joined us as an affiliate partner to promote ASAP here as well. And she's very keen to look at a lot of potential companies she's working with, very big companies. She's really engaged with the Queensland governments for some water catchment area to the Great Barrier Reef and also reducing the water pollution around the area. So Dennis is welcome you as well. So we have got a big team here. And today we would like to welcome both the various corners. All right, so probably this is one international meeting that brought many countries together. We are very privileged to have the White Rabbit and all people with us today. And we would like to share with you the wonders of this product, the efficacy of the product, how you can help companies in Asia Pacific, and in particular, the small medium enterprises, right up to a multinational company, a public listed company, corporations, and so on and so on. So I would like to now, without any further ado, pass this time to Rob and Helen and Tony to do your presentation. We are all ears for you. The flow of it is that when the presentation starts, probably we can mute and audio so that we have a better bandwidth. More importantly, if you have questions, I'm not sure whether Tony, you are happy to allow questions to come in between, or you like the questions to be raised at the end of the day. Let us know your your flow. But certainly, if there are questions that they try to ask, and if there are things not getting through, I'll try to moderate that. So over to you, right, the Intel team, Rob, Helen, and me. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction and all these people here. Absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for coming to this. And yes, Tony will be presenting today, so that's very exciting. He's been practicing. It's been glorious going through with him. So Tony, please take it from here.
Thank you, Rob. I'm trying to share my presentation right now, but it says the host disabled participant screen sharing. Is there a way to enable that for us, Andrew?
He's probably working on it. He's on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Tony. I'll just share the on now, Tony.
Okay, let me try now.
Let me know whether it works.
Okay, does everybody see it?
Good.
Yes, can see.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. It's great. Can see it very well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you everyone for attending our presentation today. My name is Tony. I'm an account executive with White Rabbit Intel. With me, as Andrew introduced us, we have Rob, our co-CEO, and Helen, our partnerships director. If anybody has any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to raise your hand up and intervene with them. I'd be more than happy to help. So today's agenda, I'd like to cover what is White Rabbit Intel, define some terms, how it works, visualize the impact we have on a sales funnel, our outcomes with our clients, and answer any questions lingering from the presentation. So what is a White Rabbit Intel? What do we do? We're a sales enablement AI company that enables sales and marketing teams to know more, win more, and close often. We exist to drive hypergrowth, increase accuracy, and reduce the cost of customer acquisition. AI is what we use to fulfill this. AI is a bit of a buzzword right now. It has a lot of different definitions. The way that we define AI is a computer software program that does data science, collates and analyzes it at the speed of light to create a desired outcome. Our desired outcome is to generate an ideal customer persona. Think of it as the shape of what a business's ideal customer is. We calculate this by taking into account their skills, interests, and other personal or business characteristics. This shape can then be used as a powerful targeting tool for new sales opportunities. Taking it a step further, we've introduced intelligent opportunity scoring. It's super simple. It's a 0 to 100 score, and it allows you to know your chance of success for engagement with a potential buyer, auto-eliminate dead-end prospects to save time, and reduce the cost of customer acquisition. Traditionally, the sales and marketing process has a number of issues. It's thought of as a game of numbers, where the most people who can make the most amount of contact is the one who wins. The result of this is a sales funnel that is enormous at the beginning and incredibly small at the end. This is because by focusing on numbers, relationships have fallen by the wayside. People buy from people that they like, trust, and relate to. One of the major issues with the sales and marketing process is that companies lack a deep understanding of who the customers really are. They understand the industries that they sell to, the locations that they service, but rarely does this analysis go any deeper than that. By not understanding who their customers really are, this naturally leads into a targeting issue. The Market average right now for cold outreach is 2.5%. That means that 97.5% of cold outreach is sent to people who are not good fits and have not engaged with a sales or marketing rep. This targeting issue informs a prospect issue. Because sales and marketing teams have such a loose target, they spend enormous amounts of time contacting anyone and everyone. One of the major costs in any business is acquiring new customers, and prospecting is one of the major components of it. It costs both a lot of time and a lot of money. The reality behind any list of prospects is that 2.5% are opportunities, 7.5% are possibly opportunities, and 90% of them are wasted time between an unfit buyer and a seller. This prospecting issue is informed by an issue of identifying opportunities. Identifying opportunities is a painstaking and arduous process for any sales professional to perform. What would it mean for your sales team if they were able to identify opportunities within a list of prospects within minutes? So now that the sales rep has identified opportunities, the question becomes, who do they contact out of that list? In any enterprise, there are about 11 influencers, all of which must be convinced in order of the value of your product to implement it in their company. The traditional mindset goes for the budget holder first. This is erroneous thinking. The best influencer to target is the one who will connect and relate to the sales rep the best. This allows them to become a champion selling the product within their own company. After all, who has more credibility? A sales rep they've never heard of before, or their colleague who goes into work with them every day? All of these issues stem from data. Data represents everything a company has done in the past and the present. Companies track enormous amounts of data, but the issue is they lack the tools to convert that data into actionable insight that can drive revenue. Your data tells a story of your past, your present, and if used properly, can determine your future. So what is it that our technology does? Our AI is a sales and marketing data processor. It analyzes and identifies patterns to generate customer insight dashboard, which allows a deep view into customer base to identify pain points and success patterns, and creates an ideal customer profile, which allows for strategic account targeting from any stage of the sales process, from beginning to end. We pair this with multi-user management for larger companies, prospect opportunity scoring to rank those prospects automatically from 0 to 100 to eliminate prospects and to reduce the cost of acquiring customers, and it integrates seamlessly with any customer database. So how does our platform achieve the result of driving sales and marketing? I'd like to take you through this visual representation of what data looks like from the beginning to the end. We start here at the first step, which is uploading data from your customer database. This is a screen capture from our actual live platform. First, you identify where the data comes from. Second, label the data as wins and losses or prospects and leads. A win can be any ideal outcome that you would like to measure. Third, identify the product. Different products have different markets, and therefore segmentation is valuable as it will not be the same result. Fourth, drag and drop the data file to process. We require that you map the data according to its fields. The first name to first name, last name to last name, company to company, LinkedIn to LinkedIn, and win to however you classify a win. For us, we classify as current customer or unqualified. Now that you've uploaded the data, the next step is that the AI breaks down your data to prepare for analysis. It gathers additional information from public sources on the internet, social media, news releases, blogs, anything that's available. It starts analyzing the data to identify patterns, to discover successes, pain points, and opportunities. It's at this stage that an insight dashboard is now created. An insight dashboard allows you to look at every individual data point that our AI platform takes into account. This is useful for digital marketing and advertising, as well as for sales teams to understand their customer base at a much deeper level. After that's created, the processing continues to identify frequencies for personas and targeting. At this point, the ideal customer persona is built. On the left, we have our ideal decision-making persona. This is the individual responsible in the company. On the right is the ideal accounting persona. This is the account or company. Looking at this here, our ideal companies is IT, financial services, computer software, human resources, and marketing. However, somebody who works in, say, the financial services industry does not necessarily have a background in financial services. These companies employ people from all different kinds of roles. And so the person we're looking for is a person who works in computer software, insurance, management consulting, or CRMs within a financial services company. This allows for much greater targeting and more precise prospecting for leads. Contrast this to a traditional ICP, which consists of a company industry, job title, country, and company size. Using our ICP, we can pare down a list of a few 100,000 contacts down to a few thousand extremely qualified and good fitting contacts who are more likely to purchase. After the ICP is generated, the next step is to upload a prospect list. Just as before, the AI breaks down the data to prepare for analysis. It gathers additional data from public sources of information. And it starts analyzing the data for patterns to discover successes, pain points, and opportunities. Then the prospects are scored and are prioritized for selling. If you look on the right, you'll see the scores are ranked from 0 to 100, and they are conveniently color-coded for green, yellow, and red. A sales or marketing person looking at this can process leads and instantly know what category those leads fall in. So what's the reality behind a list of 10,000 prospects? In any list of 10,000 prospects, 250 are very likely to want to talk to you and have a high chance of buying. 750 are somewhat likely to talk to you, possibly an opportunity. And 9,000 out of 10,000 are not going to engage. It's an unwarranted solicitation. How do you know what our platform does? Let's visualize the effect that we have on the sales funnel. This is the image you've seen before of the standard sales funnel. It's enormous at the beginning, small at the top, small at the end. Contrast this to what a sales funnel looks like with our platform. These transparent areas are the fat that's been cut from this funnel, which allows sales and marketing teams to focus on only those who are qualified to become a client. So what are the results that our clients have achieved? They've reduced up to 90% of the cost of acquiring customers, decreased up to 90% of the time spent prospecting, eliminated up to 95% of unqualified prospects to avoid wasting time, gained a deeper understanding of the customers, identified pain points and hidden opportunities, and it's up to 35 times more accurate in identifying opportunities compared to a seasoned sales professional. Here's a look at our pricing model. It's a standard pricing model with 4 tiers. Some testimonials that our clients are given that have achieved good success. If anybody would like this presentation to be forwarded to them, you may feel free to read through these testimonials. Thank you for attending our presentation. Now like to open up to questions. Rob, Helen, and I will be more than happy to answer any questions, as well as revisit any slides we've gone over. And if you scan this QR code, it will take you directly to a website. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Tony, for that succinct, very sharp presentation. And you kept to your half an hour, which is great. Now that is a very good overview. And I'm sure a lot of you are trying to grasp the concept behind it. There are a lot of new terms you meet, and the very fact that you're able to identify the ideal customer persona is a great thing. And the fact that you can perform 35 times better than the best salesman. So I'm sure a lot of you have questions. Can some of you post your question, especially your specific customer that you have, or any angle you like to know about how to present White Rabbit Intel to prospects? So I will just open the questions to the floor, and please feel free to come in. Anyone from Australia and the region, you're most welcome to pop in your questions, and Helen and Rob and Tony would certainly give you more insights into it.
Hi, Tony. Thanks for the presentation, and also the question to both Helen, to Rob, Helen, and Tony. How long will the whole process take? Let's say if we have someone, a prospect who is interested. So when we go into discussion with you and finally coming to terms, how long would the whole process take for them to get to where they want to achieve their results itself? Yeah. And after that, could you also put on the slide on the costing itself again? Thank you.
Sure, I'll answer the question. When it comes to how long it takes to implement, if you're talking about from an onboarding perspective, onboarding, depending on the group size, we can do groups of people up to 5 is what we recommend, but really it only takes about an hour for people to learn how to use it properly. It's very simple. So it's a very short-term learning process. And then we have customer success to help pretty much 14 hours out of the day. So there is a service level for any plan, Pro to Elite to Enterprise, and they each come with their own set of features as well. They come with some consultations and things like that. But as far as it goes for the results that they get, well, it's pretty much instant. So if you have good data, it will instantly show all these results, which are actionable insights that companies can take action on effective immediately. After processing the data, let's say if you were to do your customer ecosystem, data only takes anywhere between 2.5 minutes to 15 minutes to process. So if you put through your customer ecosystem or your customer database, you would get all of the insights into that entire customer demographic, segmented by product or service, or by advancement. So that would mean any point in the sales or marketing pipeline. So about 2.5 to 15 minutes there. And if you wanted to predict your prospect success of who would be an optimal opportunity to engage with, that would be another 2.5 to 15 minutes of processing time. So realistically, you can have actionable prospects to start working for your sales team in about 30 minutes time at maximum.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to take us through your package plan itself? Like, if let's say you sign up for the $495 account, what actually, what do customers actually get from there? Yeah.
Oh, sure. So the data cost is a little bit lower than the basic, of course, when it comes to per usage, but you get 750 credits. Credits are what we call the currency in which to process contacts through the system. 1 credit equals 1 contact record. It doesn't matter how much data is on that contact record. You could have, let's say if it was in a spreadsheet, It could be 200 columns of data on that one person, even in that row. That doesn't matter. One contact equals one data credit. So you get 750 contacts to run through the system added in. So that's loaded into the system. You get quarterly sales data consultations or CRM audits. So your customer relationship management platform can get audited by us, or you can have sales data consultations or solutions architecture, sales solutions architecture consultations each quarter. And it comes with a full service onboarding as well as a designated White Rabbit Intel customer success manager. So it comes with that full service offer. And then any data you want to process over 750 contacts, that's just what we throw in at a discount. But beyond that point, you can process as much data as you so choose. And it's all a pricing model that is usage based, similar to how AWS, Amazon Web Services, offers their service for any data usage. So it's really a usage-based model, but this is what we offer in the packages where it comes with more of the service level. That's what really separates the basic from the pro to the elite. And the elite comes with a bit more insight features. Basic does not come with the ideal customer profiling. Pro comes with pretty much everything that you saw, and then elite comes with even more than that.
Rob, thank you.
Sure.
Could you explain the outcome that you consider an account successful with your, what do you mean by 30 wins and 15 losses? That's one. Number two, I think the explanation of the Pro monthly package probably has gone quite fast, and I would like you to probably, if you can, to track back and explain a little bit more on these technical terms, exactly your definition of one data credit, and
Sure.
the explanation behind what a company actually benefit when they sign on your Pro monthly. In other words, the dot pointers here, what do you mean by quarterly sales data solutions architecture sessions? Now, these are high-end technical terms. I'm not sure, Rob, with your great intelligence on all these Intel things, you can simplify a little bit more for people who have not been in this space.
Sure. Sure, that's not a problem. So with the Pro plan, 750 data credits means 750 contacts. You can process, it doesn't matter, it's just people in general. So think about contact records of individuals. So whether it's win-loss data, as Tony was mentioning, or if it's prospect data, as Tony was mentioning, it doesn't matter what kind of people you're processing through. It's just 750 people that's built into it. You can spend more than that, and you could buy data in bulk if you so choose. So it's like usage model. So think of it as where if you want to buy 50,000 credits worth of data processing, so 50,000 people, then you can do so in the system. This is just what we bundled in with the little offer. Beyond that, sales solutions architecture or sales data consulting, that is us helping you interpret your data so that you can make it as actionable and as profitable or useful as possible. Beyond that, if you don't need help interpreting the data, what it could mean is that we can help you plan on how to use the data or structure it or integrate it, like, just really combine it with your sales and or marketing processes to effectively use it and get the most out of the data that you have for your customer base and for your prospect ecosystem. So we help you use the platform to its highest potential and help you improve so that you'll get better results and continue to grow while working with us. Was that a better explanation, Andrew?
It is. I'm just thinking, Tony, if you could backtrack to put up the slide on the analytics. Now, you did mention that you will, under the sales data solutions, actually help the customer to interpret the data to make it, as you say, actionable and usable. Now, that's great. Right. So how independent is the system from your intervention after the sale? So, the bridge between your technology and the customer implementing it and executing it on their system, I'm sure there will be gaps at the beginning. So maybe that part we need to fill in the knowledge on how much you can help them to plan to use the data, or is it that your system is fully automated? So that is how I think we need to know the black box behind your system. And
Sure.
if we could just go back a little bit, Tony, that one when you show the diagrams with the pie chart or whatever, just
This chart?
not this one, the one on the
The insight dashboard, Tony.
the dashboard leadership aspect and all that. Yeah, this one. So you could see that. I understand that these are the thing that what people have asked. What does the system give? So there's a lot of information here, which is excellent. So the question is, will this be beyond the Google Analytics, beyond
Oh, sure.
the CRM?
Yeah.
Do we fill that gap, which of course you know it at the back of your finger, but be new to this, the group need to know how to talk to a customer. Is this something they're getting from Google, from SAP system, from other SaaS model, or how would you explain it so that we can at least understand the extra bit of what you have in this intel that no one else have? I think that is the most interesting part, if you may.
Sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. So when we, so I'll answer in the order in which you asked. So when we work with people, and we offer the sales solutions architecture or the sales data consulting, we're helping people learn the intricacies of it. So the more obscure usage of the data or the more in depth, in detail usage of the data, the things that are not obvious to the naked eye, and how things connect. So we teach you how it all kind of sits together as a network. So it would be taking it beyond just the superficial or the face value and helping you drive progress with what's sitting in front of you in the best way possible by strategizing, really. As far as when you run data through, after the onboarding, let's say if you had an hour-long onboarding, walked through it and everything, the core functionality of the system, so to run the data, to see these insights, these are usable right off the bat. Then looking at the ideal customer persona, that ideal customer persona that's generated can be used to prospect more efficiently right off the bat. So that could be sent out to the sales team so they could see who they should be targeting specifically. Beyond that, the prospect scoring, that is an instantaneous, continuous process. So whenever you're prospecting or your sales team is looking for new business opportunities, they can just grab a list of people. Now it's going to be a more accurate list because they're targeting properly. They run it through the system and then it scores all of them. So they would choose the highest scores or the best opportunities, and they could start their selling initiative based off of their probability of success. So they would dump the low score ones, like under a score of 10, because 1 out of 10 isn't that great. It's better than the average, but anything above that would be a pretty good opportunity. Though if you have like an 86.7% probability that you'll have a positive encounter, so you have pretty much a 9 out of 10 chance of having a very powerful conversation or interaction with them, that is definitely an opportunity so they can focus on the people who are going to be the most engaged. When it comes to this page that you see here as part 3, I can kind of walk you through this a little bit, where in the top left, how you still see skill group 0, these are the skills in which your customer ecosystem this is what they are good at. And if you see larger deviations, meaning larger percentages, chunks, like in skill group 1 in the center top, 9.47% of this customer ecosystem that we've measured has skill in leadership. So that's a large segment of a customer base. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people here. So in skill group 2, to the right of that you could see strategic planning, that's a very large segment too. So we could start targeting people based off of the skills that they have, which allows the sales team to really understand the structure in which their customers exist. Like, what makes up my grouping of customers? With the industry group is understanding the industry backgrounds that the people came from, not the industry of the company that they work for. So that's very powerful, where you wouldn't consider a marketing person who works for a software company to have a background in software. They don't. They have a background in marketing. So this unlocks that idea of, it's not just account level or company level industry. It's what industry background does the person who works at that software company have that we should be targeting. And you could start looking at the interest group. This is where it gets interesting. As you can see in this freeze frame here, 4.08%. So in the middle bottom, interest group 0, 4.08% of this customer basis loves motorcycles. And you'll see a lot of other interesting things there too. It's not just interests. We actually group them together. It's interests, aspirations, and core values. So you'll see things like economic empowerment. The largest segment in this data set, I'm actually familiar with it. The largest segment next to motorcycles, like you see that larger chunk in the pie chart, that's actually children. So they have a soft spot for children. They care for them and they value them. So you could start using this information to target people at an emotional level. You could tie in something that maybe mentions motorcycles or has that type of culture around it in the content that you use. Or it's really family oriented, or it empowers them. So you can start seeing what the people care about, what they value, and so on with these interests. So that really helps when you're looking to do social media advertising or digital marketing, because you could target people at an extremely deep level. I mean, in this case, this is a data analytics platform being sold from this data set. Meanwhile, 4% of their customers, they like motorcycles. What does that have to do with a data platform? Well, it doesn't, but it has everything to do with what their values are. So it's tying the emotional spectrum into it. As far as what Google Analytics has to offer, Google Analytics, there's no way to measure your customer basis really unless they're logging into something. And even still, it's completely anonymized. You cannot identify any information based off of any individuals. You just get an IP address and you get a bit of information about like their behavioral or intent data. This is not going down the behavioral and intent. This is going down the interests, values, morals, and aspirations. So this is psychographic data. It's not behavioral data. Behavioral data says they like this stuff and they buy things like that. And they usually go on websites like this. This is going way deeper than that, getting into their mind. What do they care about? What do they value? What do they work for in life? So it's taking it down to the psychological level. So that's very powerful. And being able to identify it strictly to your customer ecosystem is super important, because Google Analytics just dumps in all of the data that they're able to pull based off of just whoever lands on the website. So it's not measuring your customer ecosystem, it's measuring your visitor ecosystem at a much more shallow depth. It doesn't go as deep as this. So it's looking at your customer ecosystem. That's the most important part, is who are the people that do business with you? Really, who are they?
Yeah, it's very good, Rob. I think there's much more clarity there. And I think the system is very smart to go beyond the customer's ecosystem, but sorry, the company own ecosystem, but dwelling deeper into understanding not only the psychological level, but not only the behavioral level, but also the psychological level. And that is something which is probably a lot of companies should have. I'm not sure whether Tony or Helen, you see there's a question pop up by Liz here. Which one of you are looking after this space about the development of ideal customer persona developed by a new product hosted by this Rob, whichever one of you can help in this space.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I understand the question. So when you're creating an ideal customer persona, we do need historic data to see it from they did business with us or they did not do business with us. So a closed won deal So you landed the business, or a closed loss deal where you did not quite make the deal happen, right? So if that historic data isn't there, looking at it from that perspective is not possible because we cannot make predictions based off of nothing. Though we do measurements of any other part of the sales process or marketing process. So throughout those funnels. So one thing that a new company that was targeting a new segment, so they're targeting the US, and they are a sales outsourcing company. So outsourced salespeople to set up meetings, right? So it's a meeting setter. It's called outsourced SDR, outsourced sales development representatives. And what they did is that they didn't have the data, but they had a bunch of marketing data. So what they did is that for the win, rather than it being a client, they marked their win as a clicked email. So a marketing email that was clicked. Those who clicked the email were labeled as a win. And then those who opened the email were labeled as a lost, because opens are not reliable. An open email, everybody who opts out or unsubscribes from a marketing email, they open it to unsubscribe. So that's not a statistic you can rely on. So they took the couple thousand people who clicked the email, and then all of the opens were the losses. They used that to create their ideal customer persona based off of not so much a customer persona, but they made an ideal engagement persona. And so they're looking at what that grouping of people looks like. So what they did is that they used that to target people more specifically, to make their messaging far more clear and targeted to that far more tight group of people that is their ideal engagement persona. They then ran some marketing against them, and they cold called them. So they did cold outreach. They effectively were able to increase their close ratio from a 0.25%, so 1/4%, into a 7.5%. And they did that in 2 weeks while decreasing their cost of new customer acquisition by 90%.
Does anybody
Tony,
have any other questions?
yeah, I have Paul Chan here from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I just want to get some basic information, like how long has White Rabbit started this marketing this AI solutions, and if you can share with us some what environment does it work best in, with B2C companies or B2B or whichever companies, and then also any percentage figures of improvements. That means previously maybe their conversion rate was 2 to 3%, but using White Rabbit, they have now moved up to maybe 10% or cut off the fat, as Tony has said. And now having, because it's going to be a long-term subscription. So obviously customers will look at ROI. What do I pay, and what benefits am I getting back? Sorry, a couple of questions here.
Sure, no problem. I'll answer them in the order you asked them to. So with the first question, we released this platform on October 30th, 2020. Yep, that is the date. Oh, if I forgot that, man, I'm a founder. I can't forget that. October 30th, 2020. We offered our services not in the form of a product, but in the form of raw data processing, even a year before then. So it took us a while to build the productized version where people can use it as just a basic salesperson or whoever, rather than having to be a data scientist to use it, right? So we made it usable and productized it. We've been around for, it'll be 2 years in April. So we've been around for some time now. As far as it goes for the return that people would get. So we've seen a lot of really good results. Like you said, the conversion ratio with that sales outsourcing company that I mentioned, it went from 0.25% close ratio, and they increased to a 7.5%. That was in a 2-week period, and they reduced their cost of new customer acquisition by 90% in that 2-week period measured. Another company we worked with, Maverick Consulting, they're a large sales consulting company out in the UK. They're a gold standard as well. They're one of the best in the world. In 2.5 minutes of data processing time, we proved that they've been targeting the wrong people for the past 4.5 years that they've been in business. And within 5 days, they did an outbound outreach campaign, cold outreach campaign, both marketing emails and cold outreach, cold marketing emails, by the way. And they were able to achieve breaking every single monthly outbound outreach campaign record in engagement success that they've had since they started the company in comparison to any other month in just those 5 days. Beyond that, in those 5 days, they were able to make a 4,500% return in comparison to what they spent on our data processing. That is the best return that we've seen. So the most return we've seen in such a short period of time.
And in response to your other question about what environments that we typically sell best in, this is actually an ICP generated using our own database. So you're more welcome to read through that. In terms of environments, we work best within, we only work within the B2B or B2BC space, as we can't process consumer data for B2C.
Yep, strictly business to business, because the depth of the processing that we do, we cannot do it in the business to consumer space. So business to consumer direct, we cannot do. And you can thank Cambridge Analytica for ruining that for everyone.
Just on that and the data, you said before a lot of it's collected from kind of social media and stuff like that. Asia's still probably catching up a lot on LinkedIn. Probably uses different social media to standard. Does it use Weibo or any of the kind of more Chinese or Asian centric social media? And if not, kind of how does it collect that data from, I'm guessing there's limited data collected anywhere from Chinese businesses.
So Chinese businesses specifically, that's a gray area that we do not delve into. So there are several countries we do not process data for. That would include China, North Korea, let's see, what's the other one? Let's see, China, North Korea, as well as, no, we get Pakistan. What's the other one? That's Kazakhstan, and other. So if it's more of a, if it's more of a country that is more protective of its data, I guess, it makes it more difficult, especially if it's in legal gray area when it's going across international lines. China would not qualify for us to pull data. We would be able to get it, except the dangers that can come with it in the sense of breachability for security purposes, and the dangers that can come with it where if their government was not okay with us pulling that data, that's something that we would be looking to integrate as the company starts to expand further and further. It's just that with our current state, it would not be a smart move. We do get some Russian data though, and we haven't had any issues with that so far. So that's been pretty good. But before we delve into China, we want to be well equipped enough. And we also want to have some partners over in China first, because if you're doing business with good Chinese companies that are, you know, very, they're validated, they're really good business people, they have a fantastic company, you can merge yourself into their culture more so and get to know the right people that are there to really create a good collaboration. And that's when it would be a more appropriate time, I think.
Yeah, but Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam.
So I have seen cases of Indonesian data in the system. I have seen some Filipino data in the system. I cannot tell you with certainty of how much, what the hit rate would be, if you will, for lack of a better term. Because we don't have a lot of people processing that kind of data. It's just kind of here and there, but I've seen those. And I've seen quite a bit from the Middle East processed through just Syria, Pakistan, Iraq, Egypt, and so on.
And the result, or I suppose the consequence of that, maybe not having the data, is just that the score's not going to show as high. Will it come back with this is kind of, it's an unknown score whether this person is going to be a high probability of success, or will it rate them as a 0?
So we don't like making false assumptions because we're a very honest business when it comes to the data. If our system was inconclusive with the score, it actually removes it from the output because we don't want to tell someone that it's not a good fit or that it is a good fit and be incorrect. We don't like being incorrect, and we don't want to give anybody any data that would be incorrect because it's not right.
So they would just come off the list.
Yep. It would still be in your original source file that you have, like, you know, when you upload it, you know, how when you upload something to the internet, how the file still exists in your computer, you'll have it. It's just that in the output in the contacts page where you see all the scores, it would not be listed there because it was inconclusive.
Yeah, cool.
Or if it violates GDPR or CCPA, International Data Privacy Law or policy, or they opted out of any of that, we are completely compliant with that stuff. So if it is in violation of GDPR, then we remove that from the system as well, even if it can be scored, because we do not deliver data that does not meet international data privacy standards.
Cool. And it's going to be an interesting one. Is there an easy client? Like you said before about the sale lead generation people, I would imagine this is kind of an easier sell for. As far as what is the
They're actually the
fruit
most
for you?
difficult.
Yeah, really. Yeah, because I think they do it well.
They don't like working with people. That's the reality. The space, the lead gen space is extremely cutthroat and resistant to any type of help. They don't even partner with people. It's crazy. They just partner with other databases like a CRM or something so they can inject their data in there. But when it comes to a collaborative experience, they're extremely resistant to that because of, I guess, the ecosystem that industry has created is very toxic. I mean, I don't mean to like talk badly of it, but that's really what's happening. Some data providers, I mean, we're going to be potentially working with Sales Intel soon. They're a large lead provider. We may be working with UpLead soon, and we're going to be in talks with ZoomInfo as well. So the guys that are all the way at the top are more open to it, but the more mid-market lead gen companies do not work with anyone. But the low-hanging fruit would be companies that do a lot of outbound outreach that are heavy on relationship building. For example, financial companies where it's really commoditized, like insurance and so on, because they really need to set themselves apart, and knowing if it's going to be a good engagement fit, a good connection between two human beings is so important to their business model, because the only reason people switch insurance policies or the only reason they buy a new insurance is because they had a good experience with the representative they spoke to. That's literally it. If you look at the fine print and the offer, they're pretty much a perfect copy. It's all the same. Another low-hanging fruit, sales outsourcing companies are great. So let's say they do lead gen, but it's not like a lead gen provider where it's like a data provider type of thing where they just sell you lists. They are pretty easy to work with because they're looking for ways to deliver more meetings to their customers at all times. We can pretty much cut out the majority of all of their labor and targeting methods, and they can pretty much instantly just, they'll be able to identify their customer's ideal customer, prospect far more efficiently, or gather data far more efficiently on potential customers. That's going to be better off from the start. So instead of getting a standard list where 2.5% are going to be an opportunity, when you're pulling data based off of our ideal customer persona, for example, Sales Driven, one of our clients, they went from 0.5% were a fit from the data sets they were generating to 12% were a good fit with the data they're generating, because they were using our targeting to generate those leads. And then they'd run those leads through our system and score them. And they would see that about 12% of them were a good fit. And then the rest of them, I would say maybe 8% were maybe a good fit, that low priority opportunity. And then the rest of them were thrown out. So instead of 2.5% being a fit and 7.5% being a maybe, they had an overall of like 20% opportunity range, and then 80% were not a fit. So their lead gen cost went down significantly because they are now contacting the people who are opportunities and generating leads based off of those opportunities. That was the company that lowered their cost of customer acquisition by 90%.
And final one from me, just to not take over, but the other one with the customer profiling is, it seems to me that it doesn't need to be salesperson specific. You don't need to have the sales persona in there. You can do it from the company. These are the people that are most likely to buy from our company. Or you can, if you have a whole team thing, link that directly to salespeople. Is that correct?
Yes, you can. So you can process data specific to an individual salesperson because every salesperson has a different personality. They have different interests. They have a different selling style. So you can get that laser specific. But a lot of companies do it by team. So they could process by team or by like, okay, what is the ideal person who will set up a demo with us look like? Then what is an ideal person who will accept a proposal from us? So they look at different segments of it from a team standpoint, because most teams are pretty well aligned and they're pretty similar because the team leader trains them very similarly. So a lot of companies, larger companies, do it that way. Otherwise, doing it company wide, the reason that's useful is because that will help if you separate by product and do it whole company wide across your salespeople, is that you will be able to generate an ideal customer persona that your marketing team can use. Because the problem with marketing is that they market to whoever's interested. And interest doesn't pay the bills unless it's compound interest. And that's not how marketing works, though they think it does for whatever reason. So you can correct their targeting so that they will increase the amount of inbound and MQLs that are actually worth something rather than continuing to keep people interested. They're now targeting people that their sales team has the ability to sell to rather than who's just interested in a much smaller segment. We can also correct the MQL, so marketing qualified lead, to SQL, sales qualified lead, passing process. Sales teams are always very upset with the marketing team because they're not passing any quality contacts over to them to close. The industry statistic average is a 1% close rate from MQL marketing passed to SQL sales when those are passed over. So the sales team thinks that the marketing team's wasting their time and spinning their wheels. What we can do is that when someone gets their ideal customer persona built out from their wins and losses, the marketing team can take all of their marketing qualified leads, they usually have thousands of them, process that through our system, and then we'll identify these marketing qualified leads are opportunities to sell to, pass them to the sales team. The rest of them, they're not qualified or they're not fully baked yet. So toss them back into the sequence.
Cool. Thank you.
So, hi Rob.
Yep.
How's everybody? The main thing that I'd like to have clarified for everybody is we've talked about B2B sales, B2B sales, and B2C sales. B2C is definitely out, but I'd like some more detail. What does a B2BC mean, and how might it work in the process?
Sure. So a B2BC, that's business to business consumer, which means that it's someone that is targeting businesses to sell to the people who work at those businesses as individuals from a business perspective. So it's business to business consumer or business to business employee, if you will. So selling to the individual employees. So you target the business, then you sell to the employees individually. For example, like supplemental insurance providers, they target companies and then they go to offer their services, their insurance services for supplemental to employees at that company, since their company doesn't offer that kind of insurance as an offering within their salary, right? Their salary and benefits. So they need supplemental insurance. They need supplemental, maybe life insurance or dental. Then they would target people who work at companies that don't offer that in a business setting, since their business doesn't offer what they need. When you're talking about B2B, that's just strictly business to business, of course. But really, yeah, it's targeting individuals from a business setting. B2C, so specifically business to consumer direct, that's like a store selling an iPhone to, just any person, just like a citizen. There's no affiliation to work or anything like that. It's just a regular person. So that's where we cannot play the game. So in that case too, is that when we process data, if the data that you run through the system for the contact is a personal email, we'll immediately drop them because we don't pull data based off of personal emails, such as like gmail.com or at Yahoo or at MSN or whatever else that may be.
Right. So yeah, that is a good clarification of the PI aspect. I'd like to invite the team to do some case study. and your team. There's a manufacturing concern as well as an insurance company, which I respectfully oppose it to Sheng. The Asian team has started looking at AI about 2 months plus, active months, excluding the Chinese New Year. And now we have of the market in Malaysia, Indonesia, and now this month we are looking at Korea. We have the responses, and one of the responses recently was from a very large manufacturing company, which I would probably point to Shen. Shen, could you please direct on your client?
Yeah, sure. All right. I'll jump into it. Hey, thanks, Rob. Was very clear.
My pleasure.
This is specifically into one of my clients. They're actually one of the top glove company that account for almost 20% of the world market. The current situation is that they market it through OEM, what you call distributors, and like for example in the States, this OEM manufacturers, rather distributors will represent, say, hospital groups or pharmaceutical groups and all that, and they don't have a direct link to this end user. So of course, business is very good now because of the pandemic, but they want to be in the long term, be able to connect with these direct clients. So the current data that they have may not be specific to them yet. They have data here and there and all that, but our job is to basically figure out what they have and how we can use it. And on top of that, how are they going to be effectively reaching out to the direct customers like hospital groups or Walmarts of this world? They don't need to go through the middleman in the future. Yeah.
Yep, that sounds like there's a lot of PPE intervention in that process. Of course, you have the mass procurement people. They're buying, 1 million units, and then they're storing it in a warehouse, and then they distribute it to the people who need it as they need it, and then they pay per item or unit as they buy each segment of anything. I've got quite a few friends who work in mass procurement, so I'm pretty familiar with the process. Yeah, the issue with that is that they don't have the connections over in the United States to be able to reach out to the places that actually need them, and rather they go through all these people who are negotiating their per unit product down to literally dirt cheap. So they'll buy, let's say, a grouping of N95 masks for what, 15 cents a piece, and then they'll resell them for like $7.25 a piece, and they'll make such a large margin. And guess who makes all the money? Well, the procurement person does. And then the company, like Top Glove, for example, with nitrile gloves, they are losing out on probably about 1,000% of the revenue that they could be making or more. So I can see where the pain comes from there. If they know which places that they're selling to already, which would probably be involved with the deal, saying I'm purchasing on behalf of this person, that person, and that person. If you look into those hospitals or those groups or any of those companies that are buying this, let's say laboratories and so on, every single one of those places has a procurement person. They have a procurement, and if you have those contacts that are those procurement people, those are obviously the people where all the companies that you are selling to indirectly, those are going to be the individuals who buy them. Those are the people they're going to talk to, because those are the people who outreach when they need product, right? So if you can get those people and affiliate them with those accounts that you have of all the people that you're selling to, the places, that would be a very good way to put a name to the face, if you will. And we would be able to process that data just fine. When it comes to those outreach methods and how to set up the infrastructure for that, a service that we offer is solutions architecture, sales solutions architecture. I'm currently working with a company doing this where they've never done outbound before. It was just referrals, inbound, and just general marketing. So setting up their entire sales infrastructure to support massive outreach to grow their company. Sure, they're at 200 million, but they want to get to 400 million in 2 years. With our AI technology behind it, and with the solutions architecture that's getting set up, sales solutions architecture, I'm confident that they can get to that 400 million in less than a year, easily. So I am telling them, let's get you to double in a year. I'm super confident of that, but honestly, I think they can get to double in 6 months. So it's under promise, over deliver, but the under promise is still what they expect because they don't know anything about it. So that could be a package offering in that sense, where we can help them with the sales solutions architecture to set them up to have the infrastructure to do this effectively with the right tech stack and with the right attributes all fit together in a beautiful, well-oiled machine process that they can effectively execute. So once we have that infrastructure set up, well, not even once we have it set up, but once we're able to process the data, we'll be able to get all of the insight into that demographic of all the people that they've been selling to understand them at a personal level. So then we could start writing content and creating marketing that would be direct marketing to them to understand that, hey, the manufacturer is now selling direct. Buy it from us instead of them. We'll sell it to you for half the cost. Like, I mean, you can't even beat that. That's going to go, you know, it'll
Yeah.
explode so quickly, it'll be crazy. So that would be fantastic. And then you could start training and having people who are going to deal with outbound, but really inbound that way. And then have the sales representatives present who would need to speak to them, who are, well-spoken in English, that can handle the conversation, because a lot of these people get a little bit technical. But I think setting up that infrastructure would be absolutely doable, and it's something that we would absolutely be able to help them with. And being able to look at that data will make it'll be a whole game changer. I mean, we'll tell them precisely who they're selling to. We'll tell them precisely who they need to target. We'll be able to identify who all these people are that are the players in the game. And then from there, with that ideal customer persona and knowing the industry knowledge that they have, we'll be able to generate leads based off of precisely who their ideal target is. And then we'll be able to run those through the system, thousands at a time, identify who the opportunities are, and then start growing that process. That it sounds like they could absolutely use what we have, in the sense where I am totally confident that that would not be an issue.
All right.
Oh,
now, then, that's it.
fantastic.
Your question, Shane.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right,
I'll add on to Shen's explanation there. I think one of the problems of this Top Glove company is also the lack of exhibitions or trade shows. In the past 1 year, they've not been able to travel. Previously, they used to send teams out to all the healthcare, pharmaceutical trade shows throughout the world. And of course, people would drop in by the booth or have preset appointments to see them and to inquire about their products. So when you mentioned just now the best environment is the B2B, and then plus the fact a lot of trade shows have a registration list of customers or registration list of exhibitors, and so it's how to marry them together. And because of the pandemic, this whole past 12, 15 months, they've not attended any of these global events or trade shows throughout the world, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Europe. Every continent has got its own major healthcare trade show. And so it's a question of whether layering on this, they want to generate the opportunity to have sales leads again, the marketing side, and then pass it on to the sales side to follow up on these leads. But of course, like you said, how do they qualify instead of just dumping a whole list? Previously was just bringing back a stack of name cards.
Yep.
See that, we have 150, 300 name cards. We have spoken to these people in Africa, trade show in Kenya or in Brazil, but having the demand is there, but like I said, they're missing out on the margins by having some direct, and they want to build up in the long term because they don't want to be beholden to the big Walmarts or the Walgreens who just buy, give you a 2-year order or 1-year order of 50 containers a month, but at rock bottom prices. So this is, I think your sales architecture solution would come in handy.
Oh yeah, and the way that I see it too, I would recommend to them not only just doing marketing and passing the sales. That's a missed opportunity doing just that. I think cold outreach, if you were to cold call them even, I know they say cold calling's dead, but guess what? In the healthcare industry, there's always people in that office. Healthcare, they're always there. So if someone were to reach out saying, hey, do you need more stock for this? And they're low, and that there's a shortage, you can call them. They say, yeah, we need it right now. When can I get it? The problem with the PPE market, the mass procurement, is that the people who procure them are so dead set on negotiating it to such a rock bottom price that the hospitals or whoever else needs them often cannot get them when they need them. It takes months to get that done, or the shipment goes missing, or whatever else happens. So that would add a level of security for them, and it would add a much deeper level of timeliness to the process. So I think calling them and reaching out when they do need it, they're going to say absolutely yes. When can you get it here, and how much is it going to cost? So I think that cold outreach would be a very smart move from just a sales perspective, not only marketing. Think of marketing as, are you familiar with small engines? Just small engines in general?
No. Not
So like, have you ever used a weed whacker or like a lawnmower?
Yes.
For sure. So think of marketing as the primer. You have to prime it first before you use the pull start. You could try to pull start something without priming it. It's possible, but it's going to be really hard to do. But if you prime it first, that's marketing. The pull start is the salesperson. So it'll start right up. And then the customer success from that point on and the logistics behind it, that's going to be the smooth running engine that's well oiled and well kept. So it all works almost like a small engine does, like a weed whacker or a lawnmower, is that you got to prime it, and then you're going to pull start it, and then you're going to keep that engine running and maintain the engine. So as long as those attributes are working together, really sales and marketing and any type of business through or any process within a business is all just a network. It's a network of systems and cycles. And as long as each system and cycle is intact properly and well kept, then it will continue to keep flowing. And so looking at it from a holistic perspective, tying these things together and breaking it down to see where the pain points are, if there's a targeting issue, an outreach issue, or whatever else, those are often also entirely related to every other process happening in the company, where the failure points are, if there's issues happening. So seeing how those things all fit together, that's the biggest part of solutions architecture. It's breaking it down, something super complex, breaking it down to the tiniest pieces. And then it's just a bunch of really simple, tiny things working together to make that system. So you can identify all the pain points, you can fix what needs to be fixed, and then you put it all back together and it runs perfectly fine. So you're diagnosing it at the deepest level to rebuild it with enhancements and improvements to make sure it's a good process. But what I was saying before is that I think that a cold outreach method, using our system to be able to identify the opportunities from just, a cold calling salesperson, or from a direct outreach email from a salesperson, or LinkedIn request or something like that, that could be something very effective due to the fact that it is such a hot commodity, such a desired product and needed product. It is absolutely and entirely a necessity. And I think you would see a lot more success in cold outreach than most other businesses would from that perspective, on top of the marketing, of course.
All right. Thank you, Rob, for that good answer that you've given. Now, I'm just mindful of the time, and I think there's still a lot of burning questions and some very critical case studies we'd like to bring up. So I just like to bring back to the fore the companies that we have approached. So Shen and Rob, may I suggest that you start an email process and actually discuss the client about Top Glove. Shen has made very good inroads in Top Glove, spoken to the managing director, the sales GM, and a lot more people that he has spoken to in Top Glove. So they are very closely connected through a warm relationship there. I will just take it out of this so that you can continue to discuss offline. I'd like to bring another example case study which is pertinent to questions we can see as an example and case study. Of course, we have Shen Social approach, telcos, and many other big companies, and so is Paul and his network. There's a case in Indonesia that has gone into a very large insurance company, and they have budget problem. They are new to the retail side, as Peter has asked the question, whether it's B2B or B2B2C. I'm not sure whether Paul would like to ask the question, or Peter, would you like to raise a flag on that question, which we are trying to get a solution to this person, this company that are very new, right? Very new, but they're very large international company. And they basically just started their B2C 2 years ago. And they like to do some lead generation. They like to find a solution to maybe intermediary solution to see how to drive traffic to that. So Peter, would you like to answer, or Paul, you like to answer this aspect on the background of the customer?
Peter, you go ahead. I'll add on afterwards.
Okay, Peter, over to you.
Hi guys. So Andrew's taken us down the road of an organisation that is a public-private partnership. It has focused. It's very famous in its area. It's commenced very much in B2B sales. In other words, selling insurance to companies, and now is going into the retail market, where it's struggling a little bit to get a foothold. And as a consequence, they're looking for solutions to how they can increase their retail sales. Quite simple. Paul, do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, they're a state-owned company in Indonesia, belonging to the oil and gas state-owned giant Pertamina. And they have been insuring a lot of government assets, and even to the airlines and everything, huge big assets. But now they know that there's big potential in the consumer market, so they've launched new products to cater for cars, motorbikes, houses, house insurance, all in the consumer space, like a normal insurance company would do for consumers. So they now are trying to develop and build their website to feature the products there, and then at the same time trying to get inbound traffic to look at their products. I mean, Indonesia is full of motorcycles, so there's hundreds of thousands or millions of motorcycles that need to be insured. Likewise, for cars, there's a big once they can get the cars market, there's always millions of cars to it's a population of 400 million. Then after that, there's household insurance, there's life insurance, and all this is either very basic or becomes very personalized when it comes to life insurance and a lot of relationships. But once the relationship is built, I think you've got a customer for life, especially if the premiums paid are reasonable and the process of getting that insurance issued is quite fast, and the coverage has got extensive benefits. Yeah, I think most of us are familiar with what we want to get out of an insurance program. And then beyond that, there's medical insurance, insurance for employees, corporate insurance that can be extended. So they're wanting, as Peter mentioned, to play in the whole insurance consumer space, right? I mean, if you match them up with the likes of the Allianz Insurance of Germany, I mean, they're a global player, and they're using Indonesia as a starting platform. But of course, there are a lot of bigger companies like Prudential, all these big, I'm not too sure who are the big insurers in the US, but around the region here, the big boys are Allianz, Prudential, and then you've got local players like Great Eastern, various niche players in different markets as well. Highly regulated industry, because it's usually all the insurance companies have to report into the central bank and governed by the central bank's rules and regulations in order to protect the consumers, because they are more often seen as a deposit taking. If I take your money for next 20 years, right, I've got to make sure that when the time comes you need the medical coverage or your retirement is in my hands, then I've got to be able to fork out. So there's a lot of regulatory stuff here. So now they're building that up from a very basic initial year 1, year 2, and getting out to customers or getting traffic onto their websites is even just a first baby step, you know. And then we try to see how White Rabbit can perhaps come in and tell them how to expedite or accelerate their conversion rates. Otherwise, they just have a lot of traffic. But they also need to generate traffic in the first instance, right? So this is where outbound targeting at the right segments, and whether it's B to B to C or it's just straight a B to C, that's where your sales solution architecture comes in, and to demonstrate that White Rabbit really understands the whole of the insurance, consumer insurance space. Then they can see very clearly a visualization of where they're heading in the next 5 years, you know, and that's where they need to have that picture so that their CEO can give. And they don't mind working with companies that have proprietary intellectual strengths, because being a state-owned company and throughout Asia now, there's an increase in corporate governance. So if it's a very commodity business like buying media and everything, it has to be tendered, right, to the best bidder. So we're trying to avoid a tender process by an open tender where everyone comes in to bid for the services. But if we can pitch it as something that is proprietary, something that's not available to any other company and it's owned by White Rabbit, then there's a higher chance of success of working. They're very good. Peter, Andrew, and our local affiliate there, Maru, has struck a very good relationship right up to the CEO level, and the Chief Information Officer, Chief Technology Officer, and we're now helping them to evaluate what's the best way forward. So that's where we are now.
Sure. Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. Doing some sales solutions architecture with them would be fine. As far as building out the website, if they did need help with that, I know plenty of very decent web developers out there that can help with that type of a thing. If they're trying to build out that infrastructure, I can introduce them to people that would be more than qualified to do that. As far as helping them with our AI tech, the B2BC would be fine. So if they're selling employee insurance or supplemental insurances, like for example, one of the things that we do work with, even though it's B2C, really life insurance is only sold to people whose companies don't offer them life insurance. So if they're approaching people who work account wise, where this company doesn't offer life insurance, that company doesn't offer life insurance. So let's target the people who work for those companies. If you're targeting them from a business perspective, you can use the technology. If you're targeting them from a consumer, let's say you're just calling their home phone and trying to sell to them that way, then we cannot do it that way. Or through like a personal email, we wouldn't do it that way. But if it's through, if it's a business contact with business contact information, then that is considered viable. So that's kind of how that's all going to flow with that. So we would be more than happy to help with those initiatives. So the life insurance, the supplemental insurances, with the employee insurance. But when it comes to the car insurance and the motorcycle insurance, boat insurance, those things, that's an area that we cannot be in. Unfortunately, again, you can thank Cambridge Analytica for ruining that for everybody. But yeah, we can help with that. And with the sales solutions architecture, with generating demand and the target, I think after we are able to process that data, we'll be able to find quite a bit that we can help them target with if they've got a good sample of people that they've been working with or that they're targeting. That should not be an issue whatsoever. And then help work with them to help structure that, to look at what will this look like in the next coming years, like you're saying. So it's sales solutions architecture really is to structure the sales architectural process and tech stack so that it is formed and fit to work for a long period of time. And so it is structured so that it is optimized for selling whatever product or service it may be in the most efficient and effective manner possible, using technologies that complement one another and structuring their database systems so that it's the easiest to navigate and to work with, so that you are starting and finishing from a data-driven approach. So it's all around the structure of the sales systems that they're using, the process, the technology stack, and how it all works together to achieve what you want it to achieve, to set you up for scalability, and to also start alleviating those pain points just from a process and from a data perspective. That way, we work with a lot of people too. Sometimes we do sales data consulting. It's similar to solutions architecture, but more so from a standpoint of what data should I be logging, tracking, keeping, and paying attention to within my sales and marketing processes, so that I can get the ideal outcomes that I'm looking for, and so that I can understand my customer ecosystem the way that I need to succeed. That also involves interpreting the data and understanding what it means and how it all connects.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm just mindful of the time, ladies and gentlemen. I think today we have a lot of information. I hope it's not information overload. All of you are digesting it and assimilating it. We got very good people who are in that space. I suggest, Paul, in the absence of Mario, perhaps we can take this offline and discuss further with Rob with specific questions. And in one area that is gray rock, I must say, is the B2C, all right? Because when you talk to B2B2C, we would like to further discuss with you how to tell the client if they are managing their own information with their own customers' data, which they have sent out. Because the retail business is not B2B. They are very successful in their B2B already. Been owned 55% by the government. They actually have access to a lot of leads there. So now they really want to go to the market. So if they provide you the data, would you be able to enhance that? So this is one thing that we would like to take offline in due to the time limit today that we have taken a lot of your precious time. We would like to tell you the protocol of how we do things here with Brand Laureate, and also the ASAP from Australia. We basically have our affiliate partners, as you can see, many of them in their own individual capacity coming in. They work at the speed of lightning, right? Just to tell you,
Paul, we got a lot in common then.
Yes, that I know you do. and they basically they work 24/7. I'm actually serious, right? And that is where my weekends, my phone has to be open to them. And they call me morning, afternoon, night. Sometimes they forgot I'm in a different time zone. so they are aggressive in their sales approach because they know many companies in Asia, and they have built 10, 20 years, 30 years relationship with the founders, MD, and so on and so forth. So it's a good group of people, but AI be new to all of us. We would like to bring case studies to you and seek your advice first. And then if the client understand the basics of your mechanism and methodology of how you approach their sales enhancement, then we will normally organize a meeting where you will get to meet the clients directly and do a very specific customized solution to them, we providing you with prior knowledge of who they are. Now, we will take it that way, and together with you, we will hope to have these 3 words, which all the affiliate agents have been hearing from me morning, afternoon, night. 3 words: make it happen. Right, make it happen. So we would bring to you guys, but we cannot touch the technology aspect because we know nothing about it. We respect your space. In view of that, we would like to use that as a protocol and refine that with you. And ATS have been very, very supportive, and Ted has been lovely to give us a lot of support. So I'd like to wrap this up. I'll tell you this. I'll try to send you what Jim has done beautifully, and you as well, Rob, and your team, a lot of brochures for reading after this. So a bit more homework, and the people that are hungry, they really want to know specific aspect of your products and services. The other thing is I'll try to see whether I could send this recording to you. I know that everyone here today have taken sacrifices of your time and effort to be here. Now, Helen, we have not left you out. All right, we would like you to say a few words. You've been the business partnership director. All right, we have a space for you now to share your thoughts on the business relationship that we have brought you to Asia and Australia with SF. So would you like to say a few words to wrap this up? And of course, Tony, Rob, you can still add on, and anything from Australia and the other parts of the people as well. Over to you, Helen.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us, you know, to be together, because I feel that we can really help in that area, you know, by being able to make it work for you, because, you know, we understand that, you know, it's the same for everybody. Everybody wants to be able to sell, to be able to grow, to be able to deliver, and you know, we can help that happen more quickly, more efficiently. And I think that's what everybody wants. You know, they want to be able to relate to people and just have it work out for everybody. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And, you know, I see wonderful things happening with us, you know, that we can help each other and just, you know, make it happen, as you said. You know, I really think that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. If there are no other questions, Rob, we would work with you on the 2 case studies. Don't worry too much about the web design. I must say that web design is a very local thing that they actually can get it done relatively cheap, and also their own companies sometimes get into the design side. However, there are specific cases they may have customers that might want to do a different thing which they cannot get it done locally. That are those aspects they would like to talk to you. And many a times also leads generation might be one area, which of course we have spoken about that before. So we will escalate areas of need, pain points, and the people's greatest challenges, and we hope to flash that over to you guys. And I'm sure you all have the expertise to look at different angles of different needs, and hopefully with your help we can give an indication of how we can solve and provide the solution, solve the problem by providing a solution, and with Asian pricing, because the Asian people would tell you what the budget is, and we have to hover around that and pretty much, you know, come out with a localized, customized solution. There is no one size that fit it all for Asia. Believe me, it's a very intimate relationship with the company in making them feel you are part of their team. If there's no relationship with them, you will never be able to have a conversation. They respect you, they will say yes to you, but literally we know their hearts are far away, right? So I leave that thoughts with you guys. Any last words from anybody? If not, I really...
Yep, I've got a couple things.
Yes.
So when it comes to that relationship building, we like to really prize ourselves in that. As far as how our technology is built, it's actually built where there is no cookie cutter, because we use unsupervised machine learning. Therefore, the data in actually teaches the system and develops, it does its own logic and algorithms. So it breaks it down, and I guess for lack of a better term, turns it into micro algorithms with trillions of pass fails. So every output and the way that the data is treated by our system is actually different for every single company, because they work with different people. They have different selling styles and they have different everything. So every company is truly unique through a system. There is no general output. We don't set the rules. The system sets its own rules by understanding the business. A second thing would be, if data is not available, or if we don't have access to data sources in certain areas in Southeast Asia where it may be slim from our sources, if any of you know of data sources that are very good data sources that have a whole lot of data in those regions, please feel free to introduce us because we can integrate that data source into our system. So if it's needed in that area, we're able to integrate that data source into our system. We just need to know how to identify those people that have those giant databases for those regions and for those countries. So if we're given an introduction, we can add that data to the system, right? So we can have access to it and enable that region to have a lot of data capability. And then the third thing is that we have a bunch of new deliverables because if you didn't see the website recently, we did a whole huge website redesign, which is very exciting. And a lot of the materials have been updated to be more actionable, accurate, and outcome based. So I think you're very much going to like it, Andrew. So
thank you so much once again. All of you have a great evening or great morning, but most
evening for us, morning for you.
Yes, so thank you all for your time. We will be in touch. And on behalf of the Vanguard Group, Meeting has asked to leave early, and Tony as well. They have a large database of 2,000 companies, and this is one thing that the founder, KK Johan, has always asked me to look at the area of the SME, the small medium enterprises that really need a lot of help. So Biping and I have been in discussion about this, and we are very happy to know that your technology can cater for this very specific market. Of course, if it's a big company, it's never a question. We will come back to you guys on a lot more questions, and we will bombard you with a lot of doubts and gray areas, so to speak. But thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Have a very, very good day, and see you all.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
We appreciate you coming. Thank you for everything.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.